Okay, we are at Cricut Design Space homepage, and for our first projects to get you going, I'm just going to select on this egg right here, and we are going to make this. It says add to canvas. We can click on add to canvas, and this will bring up where you're going to work on your project. So and here's our image. I can click on it and it will tell me what the size is. I can either make this bigger or smaller depending on what you're using it for. And today I think I'm just going to leave it at about a 3.5 in width and 4.5 by height. And I can ungroup this by going over here, ungroup. And now I can see each layer. So by just clicking each color and pulling it out, I can either change the colors or I can leave them the same and cut it as is. If you want to change your color, you just go up here to where you see this square. This is all of your colors. If I wanted to change it, say to orange, I would just click on that, and any of these can be changed, the color. So I can go ahead. I don't need it to be stacked on top in order to make it. I can just simply go over here and click on make it. And you'll see on the next page that it will sort your project into mats by color. So the colors are what papers you will be using. So this one is a white. That means you're going to be using white paper. So the next one and so on, you go down. I always like to check to make sure all of my colors and papers and items that I have selected are on my list so that I cut out everything that I need. You'll notice over here the material size, that's your paper size, or your mat that you are using will always be your 12 by 12 mat. But if the drop-down menu, you can actually select the size of paper. So I normally work with A4, so I'm going to click on that. And for each color, you do need to select what size paper you are using. So if you want to use a 12 by 12 for this color of paper, you can leave it at 12 by 12. But again, I normally work with an A4 paper for my cardstock. So I'm going to change all of those to A4. Pink. And I think last one is blue. I think I changed them all. And over here, you can go back up to white, number 1, so that we cut in order. Also, right here where you see apply, if you want to do more than one project at a time, you can just add how many projects you want. Say I wanted to make 2 eggs today, so I would put in 2 and click apply. And so now it will give you, automatically will sort all of the paper for you, and it will tell you, okay, now white paper is going to cut out 2 and so on. The yellow will cut out 2 and so on. And so if you're ready to make your project, I'm going to click apply again. So we just have 1 for today. You will be clicking on the right bottom as continue. And this will connect your machine. I am using it through the Bluetooth today. You can also connect it with your cord and it will show up right here. Okay, so it has connected my machine to Air2 by Bluetooth, and right here, this is the card that you will be using. And today I am using a heavier cardstock, so when I turn the dial on my machine, it will change to the paper that I need. And so now I have the correct dial set, and also it will tell you to load your materials. So you need to load your fine point blade, and once we get all those loaded, we will be going to the machine and we will switch to the camera view, the phone view, and I will show you how to cut out your first project.
Okay, over to the machine, you will see that the arrow is blinking. We are going to press that once we have our paper loaded. And so the first color to load is the white, and I'm going to just fasten the paper on there. And then when I load it, the mat goes in between these edges on both sides. And you'll notice you can't push it any farther, so it stops right there, and then that is when you press your flashing arrow. And so that loads the paper. Once it's done loading, it will flash the go button with the little Cricut on it, and you'll just press that to get everything started. Okay, and you will notice over on the computer, it does tell you that it's cutting, and it gives you a percentage of how long it's going to take. Like it is at 21% right now. So it'll be at 100 when it is done cutting this particular shape. Okay, you'll notice that it is done cutting, and you will see the flashing arrow again, and it will also say unload material on your computer. So we are going to click on that arrow and unload our paper. And then you can take your Cricut weeder and just lift up on an edge and slowly just peel your paper off. And I like to use the weeder to get the small pieces, and this one, since it cut out the egg, I'm just going to grab the edges of that and carefully take out the item that it cut out. And some of the small pieces need to just be poked out. And for getting the rest of this off of your mat, you can use your scraper. You just scrape that to the edge. And your computer will be telling you to load the next color of paper. So we will load the yellow. Okay, if your paper does not want to stick onto your mat, or your mat is older or it needs to be cleaned, what you can do on the back of your paper is just lightly spray it with your temporary spray glue, and that should fix the problem. So the yellow is ready to go, and we will put that in the edges, the corners, and it will stop, and then you will see the flashing light, the arrow, and I'll click on the arrow, and it's ready to cut, and it will flash again for the cut button. Okay, done cutting. Release the paper out of the machine and take the paper off of the mat. And just get those extra pieces out. Scrape our mat off. And load our next piece of paper. And while this is finishing cutting, I'm just going to let you know you will just repeat the process for the remaining colors of paper. Okay, while I have this screen up, you'll notice it does say cardstock, and I'm going to go over to the dial. You can see there's paper, vinyl, iron-on, light cardstock, bonded fabric, poster board, and custom. And this knob is missing. There's a paper clip here, and when I turn it, that is going to change on my computer. So I'll just turn it, and you'll notice that is changing what material it's going to cut. That right there is your custom materials, and I have in here glitter cardstock, holographic vinyl, glitter vinyl. Over here, you'll want to eventually just browse your materials. So what that does when you click on this is gives you a list of everything that Cricut can cut. And so we won't get into that today. Mostly you will probably be using your Cricut for your vinyl and your paper. So it will stay on either the vinyl or your cardstock. Okay, use glue and put your project together.